So to start this next step, I'm going to be using my kneaded eraser a lot. The kneaded eraser is great because it can pull away just a little bit of value as opposed to pulling the entire value away. It also is helpful to use the kneaded eraser prior to using a plastic eraser. If you go straight in and start rubbing your plastic eraser against the paper where the charcoal is, it will actually embed the charcoal into the tooth of the paper in a way that you won't be able to erase it as easily or maybe even at all. So I recommend anywhere where you're planning to take value away to work with the kneaded eraser first. And so now we're working reductively or subtractively to block in the highlight areas of the self-portrait. And so I'm just going to take my kneaded eraser. I can form it into kind of a, a smaller like point almost to draw with, but I'm drawing subtractively. I'm pulling the lighter values out. And so I'm just going to go around and just kind of sweep areas of value away. If I pull too much value away, that's okay. I can always add it back in by just either taking the cotton swab and kind of adding it back in that way. So that was a little bit too late, but I can go ahead and I can just kind of blend some more value over into that area again. Or I can even take my hard charcoal, grind a little bit over an area and kind of burnish it back in as well. So it's really a very versatile and forgiving medium charcoal. But I want to go in now and just work around the whole piece and start to pull out the lighter values, drawing with my kneaded eraser. And then I'll be able to go back in to my shadows and make the value darker. I'll also be able to go back in with my hard charcoal and kind of add more detail to some of the areas that I'm wiping out as well. But right now, I'm just going to kind of work around quickly and loosely with my kneaded eraser and just kind of swiping out where light values need to be. The kneaded eraser is a very versatile tool for working subtractively or reductively. You can change the size of the value that it's picking up by making it into a smaller point or by using it as kind of a larger blob and swiping across an area. The quicker you swipe the kneaded eraser over an area, the less value it will pick up. The faster you go, just the less contact it has with the paper, and so it's going to pick up less value and leave a darker value behind. The slower you swipe across an area, the lighter it will be. Also, pressure takes an effect too. The harder you press with the kneaded eraser, the more value will come off the paper. The lighter you press with the kneaded eraser, the more value will remain on the paper. You can also dab it in areas to get different textures and to pull out highlights as well. But it really is a versatile tool that you can draw with subtractively. After I'm done working with the kneaded eraser in areas, I'll move on to something smaller, like either a clicky eraser or this is another eraser that I have that's kind of in the middle of one of the clicky erasers. And so since I've removed value in areas with the kneaded eraser, I can take this and remove more value and be more precise and more specific about the edges of the highlights. And so I like using this eraser just to kind of refine and retouch areas. You don't really want to use this in an area where you haven't used the kneaded eraser because it can sometimes end up pushing the charcoal into the tooth of the paper and making it really difficult to remove. But you can see now I'm starting to get more of a range in my highlights by working over areas I had previously erased out with the kneaded eraser. Lastly, I'm going to move on to that precision eraser, and now I can really start to look at the lightest areas within the highlight area. I can really think about, well, where do the brightest areas pop out, and I can really draw them in. And so if I have smaller areas like the catch lights in the eyes, I can use it there. I can also use it in kind of a sketchy way to create different textures that kind of fall on the skin and kind of use it almost like hatching in some places to pull out value. But again, you don't want to use this in a place where you haven't already used the kneaded eraser, but it is really nice and precise and easy to get edges on things like the Cupid's bow or like the highlight on the bridge of the nose or the catch lights in the eyes.